We woke up in Des Moines, Iowa, and he's wearing my wedding ring.
Say something stupid, I will not cut it out.
No.
And now we're rolling. All right,
So now when if I, in the very slim chances were to lose, I can blame it all on Rock Hard Caucus.
Oh yeah,
nothing I did.
We're gonna be planting little mistakes, little hinge points in this interview that will you can point to as this is where it all went wrong. This is Rock Hard Caucus episode 219. I am sitting in my living room with a friend of mine who has actually been on the show before. I didn't look up what episode number that was, but Clara Reynen, welcome to my living room.
Hey, thanks for having me in your living room. I've never been in your living room.
Yeah.
It's a really nice living room.
Oh, thanks. I vacuumed yesterday.
Really? It looks great.
Yeah, you met Weasel, who's one of our residents, and she leaves hair all over the house.
I bet. So. And it's probably really easy to see since she's so, for the listener, she's this big, fluffy, white cat who seems to hate new people. But she did sniff my hand.
Yeah, she didn't hiss at you, which is a good thing.
That feels like a ringing endorsement to me.
Yeah. Weasel endorses Clara Reynen for council. Weasel is, of course, a Coralville resident, so she will be she voting for
anyway.
Ryan and Katie, but yeah, she can't participate in the Iowa City elections. Clara, last time you were on Rock Hard Caucus, I believe was around the time of the special election earlier this year. We joked around a little bit about Ross Nusser and our friend Oliver, who ended up winning that election. Now you have decided to follow in his footsteps. You were inspired by Oliver Wyline. That's what I heard.
Yeah. I don't know if that was sarcasm or not, but I was.
It was like half sarcasm. I mean, I figured that you were influenced by his success, but
absolutely.
You are your own person, I think.
I am. I think if you stood me and Oliver next to each other, it would be even more clear that we are not clones of each other. So yes, I am my own specimen.
Before we really get into this, because I want to ask you about like what's the deal with local government? Why do you want to be a part of this? Is something wrong with you? Questions like that. I did open this up to the Iowa City subreddit, as I do sometimes, trying to maybe field some questions from people who don't think exactly the same way I do. Try to broaden the conversation a little bit. And I did get a comment here that I just want to address right at the top. This is from Reddit user no_diamond4710, who asked me, will you soft serve your candidate of choice like when Oliver and Ross were running?
Oh.
So the question is, am I going to soft serve Clara? You are ice cream.
I am ice cream. I hope not. I don't think you will.
Well, yeah, I do want everyone to know, Clara and I are personal friends. Don't expect this to be an unbiased, impartial interview. But that comment did sort of got me thinking, like, maybe I should overcompensate for that.
Okay.
Clara and I are friends, so I don't want to give the impression that this is not real journalism, because it absolutely is real journalism. So I'm going to maybe adopt a more hostile tone for this interview.
Okay.
Just so that we really get to the meat of all these issues. So let's start off with this. Clara, who the hell do you think you are?
Who the hell do I think I am? How does that... And now I'm like, how does my answer differ when somebody asks it so hostilely?
Yeah.
I'm a graduate student. I'm in my last year of grad school at the University of Iowa, getting my MFA, so my Master's of Fine Arts in Book Arts, which means that I make handmade paper and I bind books and I letterpress print. And I'm also a librarian. I got my Master's of Library and Information Science here at the university as well. So I guess who the hell am I? I'm a craftswoman. I'm an artist. I'm a librarian, and I'm a community organizer.
Okay. All right. And let's set the table a little bit. There's a local election November 4th. There's 2 at-large seats that will be on the ballot, and then the Iowa City District B seat will be on the ballot. And citywide, everyone who's an eligible voter in Iowa City can vote for all 3 of those seats. District B is just limited. The candidacy is limited to people who live in District B,
right?
Which I don't know exactly where that is.
No, and if they're, it's like the east side of town. And if there had been a primary, then residents of that district can only vote in that district primary.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a weird quirk. We did get into this when Oliver was running as well, but anyway. 3 seats on the ballots. Incumbents, Sean Harmson for the District B seat. Challenger, Amy Hospodarsky, is running against him. The at-large seats, incumbents, Bruce Teague and Megan Alter are running. And then we've got challengers Clara Reynen and Newman Abuisa.
Yes.
So that's where we stand. We've got 1 for 1. 3 challengers, 3 incumbents.
Right. Yep.
So you have an opportunity to change the makeup of the council if you want. You can change all 3 seats.
Wouldn't that be
You
exciting?
can keep all 3 incumbents.
Okay. I'm not
You're less
quite as
excited
thrilled
by
about
that
one.
Yeah, okay. So the other night, I attended a forum put on by the League of Women Voters where all 6 of you were there. All 6 of the people I just mentioned were there. Everyone got a chance to answer a series of questions. So I thought that could maybe guide us a little bit here. And we'll come back to that librarian thing.
Okay.
Remind me not to forget to follow up on that.
Oh, I will not forget. Almost every conversation I have like circles back around to libraries somehow.
Yeah, and that sort of influences the way you look at politics.
Oh, politics,
the world.
life,
Yeah.
the world at large.
Yeah, so that's why you are who you are and why you're doing this. And again, we'll come back to that.
Yeah.
So one of the first questions asked of everybody at this forum was about the recent failure of Johnson County and Iowa City to come together to build a new combined jail and police station building. All of the incumbents at the forum voted in favor of proceeding with this. If you haven't been following this, the council voted 4-3 to engage in this joint opportunity to build this facility. And then because it was a split vote, because there was so much opposition to it, even though the vote passed, the sheriff decided to pull out. Anyway, here's a very basic question. If you had the opportunity to vote to proceed with that joint facility or not, how would you have voted?
I would have voted no so fast.
Okay. So maybe it would have gone the other way, the vote.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think if any of the challengers had been on council when that vote happened, the vote would have gone differently. It would have been no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know that you toured the current county jail recently. Yeah. And that's not the first time you'd been there, right?
No. I was arrested at a protest in December of 2023. So I spent most of the night in the county jail. I think I got bailed out around 2 or 3 a.m. But honestly, that whole evening was such a blur and there's no clock in your cell. So I have no idea what time it actually was. But
weird.
I was the last person to get bailed out. And I was in there for long enough that they eventually shut off the lights, which meant to me that it was nighttime. And then maybe a few hours later... I was going to say
shutting the lights off on you seems bad, but maybe that's actually preferable so you can sleep or something.
Yeah, I think at that point it must have been at least past...
God forbid you have the
10.
choice in the matter of whether the lights are
the
on
worst.
or off.
Yeah. Yeah, any agency, never. No, we can't give incarcerated people choices, options.
No, that's what got them there in the first place. Is their own choices.
They spent their second chance, as some counselors said.
Yeah,
but
somebody who was at the forum.
Yeah, it was Sean.
Yeah. Having been in that facility from 2 very different vantage points, I was wondering if you learned anything about they're saying that this facility is falling apart. We need to replace it with something else. What have you seen that would indicate one way or the other?
When I was in the Johnson County Jail the night that I was arrested, it is the conditions aren't great. You've got a little, I don't know, maybe 4-inch mattress that's covered in that waterproof vinyl.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was thinking less about the jail conditions when I was in there and more about the way my friends had been mistreated and injured by the police who were there. UIPD specifically, I believe, not the sheriff's department.
Right.
But I did think it was really interesting when I toured the jail. I toured it with Katie Freeman, who's running for city council here in Coralville.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because, a lot of the stuff that the sheriff was telling us about their policies and their conditions, I found to be the opposite when I was there. So, for example, Katie Freeman had asked, what about, where do transgender folks get housed? What cells are they in? And the sheriff, said it depends on their preference and the preference of the other folks in the cell. But in general, we, try to keep them where they would prefer to be. And that wasn't the case at all when I was in the jail. They put the one non-binary person who was in the holding cell with me and 3 other folks. So there were 5 of us there in total.
And you had all been arrested at the same.
Yeah, we had all been arrested
thing.
at the same
Okay.
protest. And one person who had been arrested ultimately had the charges dropped because she was acting as a marshal, as a medic. She was not doing any sort of active civil disobedience. So she shouldn't have been arrested in the first place, and she got the charges dropped. But regardless, the non-binary person who was in the holding cell with us had also had their wrist extremely injured by UIPD, and they were made to stay in solitary confinement, which I know is an incredibly traumatic experience for them. So that was one thing the sheriff said that I had direct, personal experience to counter. And then also he was talking about how, they have to follow dietary restrictions and they have to make sure that there are halal options or kosher options, and they follow dietary restrictions, but I can't eat gluten. And when I was in the Johnson County Jail, they did ask me about dietary restrictions when they booked me, but the food I got, I could not eat at all.
Yeah.
And I was only there for, I was maybe there for 10 hours max, 8, 10 hours maybe. And so not eating for that one meal wasn't bad necessarily, but
Well,
I would have liked to have eaten, I guess. I was very hungry, and I was so delirious and tired that I threw up in the car on the way home because I was just so overwhelmed. But I think one of the things that has been really hard for me to reconcile is that when I have tried to have conversations with folks about the jail or about building a new jail, because I genuinely want to know and figure out what the best path forward is. Whenever I've had those conversations, we're only ever talking about the folks who work at the jail.
right.
And
yeah, one thing that they say is that we need a new facility. It's overcrowded, both the people booked and the people who work there, and it's unsafe for everyone as well.
Yeah.
But they're not. Your experience shows they're not really that concerned about the well-being of people that they lock up.
No, and even when I was, going to the CJCC meetings, which is the Criminal Justice Coordinating Committee meetings, and I would hear them talk about potential plans for this new joint facility, I would hear things like, there's going to be a wellness space. And I would think, oh my gosh, that's awesome. That's such a, great way to make sure that incarcerated folks are, still keeping active and are able to, rejoin society right where they left off when they get out. And then they would say things like wellness space for the officers. And I'm like, okay. Or they would say and there will be public art on the fence outside. And I'd be like, wow, that's great. How awesome would it, being incarcerated would already be horrible, but you're outside and you're looking at this beautiful art on the fence. And then they would say art on the outside so people don't have to see the jail. And so it just
what a strange selling point.
Exactly. Especially.
How would you feel having your art displayed in a situation like that?
Honestly, if my art was going to be on both sides of the fence, if everybody could enjoy it, I would maybe be amenable.
But it's just to obscure
for the
the vision
passerbys.
of the jail. Yeah,
exactly. Which I know was in the location of the jail, kind of out near Terry Trueblood, where the transportation center and the landfill are located. That was the location that the county wanted. That was the most desirable for them. And I think that's one of the reasons why some of the city councilors who voted yes weren't sure if they would vote yes or no. In particular, Mayor Bruce Teague wasn't thrilled about the location, and he said he would be amenable, but only if it was in a different location. So I personally think that that's ultimately what kind of killed the joint facility proposal for the sheriff. I think the sheriff was really set on that particular location, and I think the mayor's unwillingness to move or rather his demand to move,
Yeah.
is what ultimately killed it.
Yes, absolutely. Clara, by the way, how long have you lived in this community?
Yeah, I moved to Burlington, Iowa, which is about an hour away, my freshman year of high school. Then I did my undergraduate degree here at the University of Iowa. So I was here for 4 years. I graduated in the spring of 2020, which was a bizarre time to graduate.
Yeah.
And so I moved away outside of Iowa City for about a year and a half, and then I moved back for grad school. So in total, I've lived here for almost 10 years.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So in your time living here and like paying attention to local government and local politics, are there any decisions that the council has made that you like, just anything that comes to mind where like you feel like they made the wrong decision, you would have liked to have been a voting member to maybe throw it the other way?
Yeah, I mean, the jail is the first one that comes to mind.
Sure.
I almost think it's less about votes that they made that I wish had gone the other way, and more about things that I feel like never even made it to the table in the first place.
Yeah.
I feel like one thing I've really enjoyed so far about watching Oliver in his position as city councilor is just the really proactive role that he's taking. You know, as soon as he got elected, he approached community members about writing a boycott resolution and about getting that on the table. And Oliver helped set up the joint entities meeting that was yesterday on the 7th to talk about permanent supportive housing. And I really admire the active role that Oliver is taking. And I think that, like, similarly, Laura Burgess and Mazahir have taken really active roles and have pushed for really good things. And I haven't seen that same active pursual of measures, of resolutions, of ordinances from other folks on the council. And when I was talking to someone about this, they described it as a bureaucratic approach versus an activist approach.
Sure.
And so I think that was a really kind of clarifying moment for me when I realized, like, oh, that makes a ton of sense. Like, some of the folks who I don't see being as active work in more bureaucratic positions or have more experience in bureaucratic positions. And so I think they are a little more used to letting things kind of roll along. And when they see moments when they should get involved, they decide to, rather than actively seeking out those places where they need to get involved and actively seeking out how to solve problems.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like a lot of the people who might have a more bureaucratic approach, they sell that to the public as like, well, we trust our staff to make the right decisions and to do the right things. So if you, I think that you've been meeting with people who are on city staff, right?
I have been.
Maybe this is a loaded question. Maybe I should take on a hostile tone again.
Okay, do it.
Don't you trust these people to do their jobs, Clara?
I do trust these people to do their jobs, Justin. I do trust them to do their jobs. I think, as far as meeting with folks, just because I don't come from the same bureaucratic background as other folks who are already on council, I've really been wanting to make sure that I understand how the city structure works. They had a really awesome orientation for the candidates where they had the heads of all the departments there as well. And I love an organizational chart.
So maybe you're more bureaucratic than you're letting on.
No, listen, Justin. We don't need to have an organizational chart that's a pyramid, right? Like, I think that's very bureaucratic.
Sure.
But there are lots of other ways we can organize our communities, our working spaces that aren't kind of that traditional hierarchical approach. And for me, I think what it is it's totally possible to be an active, proactive city councilor and trust city staff at the same time. Because I think, I'm trying to think of the best way to phrase this. It's like, you don't know what you don't know. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And so I think for folks on council, the way it works, and I know we're talking about the library stuff later, but I do think this is one area where my library skills kind of come to the forefront, or where it is at least more obvious to me that it's coming from my librarian background, because my specialization, you could say, in libraries is academic librarianship. And in particular, academic librarianship at large universities like the University of Iowa. And the reason that I am kind of specialized in that field is because in large institutions, you see a ton of siloing happening where, the engineering college really sticks within the engineering college. The writer's workshop sticks within that. So we see all of these departments really split up and divided. And I think libraries have a really great opportunity to kind of push people outside of those departments and really encourage collaboration. And so I think when I've been thinking about my approach to city council and my approach to local government, I've really wanted to make sure that this system that does look very hierarchical from the outside, I want to make sure that I'm not stepping into a situation where those silos are going to continue. So part of the reason I've been meeting with so many different department heads already is because I want to make sure that when I'm elected, I understand how the Climate Action Committee works with the police department, or how the neighborhood development services work with the wastewater treatment facility, and how I want to know where these connections are happening, where they're not happening, and where they should be happening. And so I think, city staff is overworked. They have so much to do. And so I think to expect them to make those connections and to expect them to be on top of that is unreasonable. And I think that city councilors have to encourage that collaboration. So that's what I've been trying to kind of get on top of early.
Okay, so you see your role in that regard as kind of a hub or a vector between all these different parts of the city.
Yeah,
yeah, and I think that kind of addresses a couple of these.
Or
these
a little
Reddit
like a hostess. I feel like a vector sounds so
it's like
scientific.
A disease, but yeah.
Well, hey, listen, there's whoever made that do not vote for Clara Reynen Instagram. Commie Clara probably would describe me as a vector then.
So this kind of does address a couple of the Reddit comments that I was going to bring up. PH Maddie 2416. I'd like to hear about her library experience and how she plans to translate it into government. I think that was a good answer for that before I even brought it up. This maybe is a bit.
I mean, I could go on.
Broader. Yeah. I think we will go on. So Bake Knit Code said, I wish her website was a little more specific about her policy agenda. It's great that she's a librarian, and I'm glad that she's pro-labor and pro-tenant. But what does that look like in practice? And then the rest of this, I feel like we've kind of touched on, and we will come back to the rest of it. So, how does it work in practice? Also, pro-labor and pro-tenant was an important part of that question.
Yeah.
In what ways are you a librarian and pro-labor and pro-tenant?
Okay, so let's see. In what ways am I a librarian? In what ways am I pro-labor and pro-tenant? Okay, this is 3 questions that we'll break down. In what ways am I a librarian? I think, to be transparent, I am still in grad school, so I'm not currently working in a library. Mm-hmm. I think that's okay, because the more I've learned about libraries is the more I've realized that the principles of librarianship apply outside of libraries in so many different ways. So not to get too art theoretical on us, but a lot of my own art practice revolves around archives, community archives, shared knowledge, shared traditions. I think that was just an excuse for me to talk about art, because I don't know where I was even going with that anymore.
No, I think it makes sense. Archives and access to.
Oh, yes. I was talking about how I'm not currently working in a library.
Yes,
I see.
Yes.
I think as far as how being a librarian will help on city council, in addition to some of the things that I've already said, when you go to a graduate program for library sciences, in order to graduate, you have to demonstrate competency in the American Libraries Association's core competencies. There are 9 of them.
Okay.
And those are the traditional things you think of, information organization and reference skills and technology skills. But then there are also more of the administrative side of things. So to graduate, I had to demonstrate competence in strategic planning, in budgetary planning, in administrative and HR roles. And so I think in addition to all of the more, obvious forward-facing ways that being a librarian is helpful or good for the community, there are also those kind of back-end administrative things that I've been trained to do. And frankly, I don't love doing them. I don't know any librarians personally who are like, I really wanted to do reference, but I love doing HR and admin work.
Right.
I think that's just something you have to do. And ultimately, I think that's one of the ways that I will be able to help on city council, because I think when you have someone who doesn't want to spend as much time in that, like, I don't know, administrative muck,
Sure.
I think you're more likely to work harder to find solutions to get out of it faster, right? Like, I don't want to do 3 city council meetings in a row where we're talking about the same issue because we've delayed the vote and couldn't come to a conclusion. Like, I'm going to work outside of city council, figure out what I think, figure out what approach I need to either get on the same page as other city councilors to figure out why there's that disconnect. Like, I feel totally competent doing my own work outside of the city council chambers to come to those conclusions. As far as the, I guess, like, labor and tenant aspect of it, I had always known about unions growing up. My dad is a family practice doctor, so we weren't like a labor union family growing up. So I wasn't super involved in unions until I started graduate school. And I got involved in the campaign to organize graduate students, which we call COGS, which is part of UE. We're local 896. And I think part of the reason I got involved in the union in grad school was because being a graduate assistant sucks. Like, you barely get paid anything. You're stressed out all the time.
Yeah.
And there's just too much to do. And so I think at first I got involved kind of out of necessity, but I really began to realize what a strong community that was and what a good way it was to meet new people and make connections. And one of the things I'm the most proud of, actually, is that last year when we renegotiated our contract, we secured the first raise above the legal minimum since 2017, when collective bargaining rights were stripped from Chapter 20.
Right.
So, and in the public sector, to be clear.
Right,
so
right. So that makes that goal much harder to achieve because the university's hands are not tied. You have to, like, really fight them on that.
Yeah, oh my gosh, it was a fight for sure. And I got to sub for somebody in the closed bargaining session. So, I mean, one of the ways that I think I could be a really important piece of the labor movement here in Iowa City is that, the City Workers Labor Union, AFSCME, is recertifying this fall. And then in the spring, they're renegotiating their contract. And I think it would be rad as hell to be like 1 year on one side of the negotiating table, and then the next spring, be on the opposite side of the negotiation table.
Yeah.
City councilors aren't the ones who are directly doing those negotiations.
Okay.
And in the past, councilors haven't been that involved. I don't know if it's because they didn't want to, or didn't know that they could, or didn't realize the importance. I'm not trying to make any assumptions. Other people are free to make whatever assumptions they'd like.
So are they negotiating this, like, with the city manager?
Yeah, so they do most of it, from my understanding. There's outside legal counsel brought in, and then, also the city manager is the one who does most of that. City councilors could be in the room, though. So I've already been talking to Oliver Weilein and Laura Burgess a bit about how, like, if I'm elected, and even if I'm not, they better be in the room. But if I'm elected, the three of, we're going to be, I just can't wait. I would love to give the city workers anything and everything they want. I'm not joking. Like, it's crazy.
What if they each get their own train car? What if they want that?
Does that mean we're building rail? That's what we sneak in. We're building rail for everyone to get their own train car.
Yeah, it's in the contract, so I guess we got to build it.
I would love to participate in that. And I also just think that, like, I don't know if it's because some of the folks on council already come from more affluent backgrounds, or they don't necessarily, like, need the stipend that you get as a city councilor, but I think sometimes current counselors don't always realize, like, the social capital that they carry as elected officials. And so even in the private sector, like, imagine if every city councilor was on the picket line when the Starbuckses in town were trying to unionize, or when the Brugger's was trying to unionize. Like, imagine if every city councilor was there vocally supporting them. Yeah. That would go such a long way, and it would scare the shit out of the business owners. It'd be great. Union busting, thing of the past. I hope. I would like that to be the case.
Yeah, I mean, I know that elected officials do show up to those picket lines often, but
they show up to the public and press-covered picket lines.
Right. It's, they
my
usually,
personal assessment.
Usually aren't there long. It's, an opportunity to show that they're supporters of labor.
Or they stand in the shade.
There's photographic evidence that I was
Yeah.
here. So, I don't know if you want to get into the endorsement situation, but you are a union member.
I am, yeah. I'm the only current candidate, or if I was elected counselor, who's in a union.
Okay, yeah. And the Iowa City Federation of Labor recently went through their endorsement process, and in the case of the Iowa City Council, I believe endorsed all 3 incumbents.
Yeah, they did endorse all of the incumbents. It was a frustrating process for me because I believe I could double check. So there is a chance that this is wrong, but I believe that they have a essentially like labor candidate education event that you have to go to if you want to be endorsed. And I believe that was a few days after signatures were filed. And if not, it was only a few days before signatures were filed.
Yeah.
But as far as I know, myself and Amy Hopsberdarsky were not invited.
Oh.
We didn't receive an email at all telling us that this event was even taking place. So I received an email from somebody else the same day it was happening saying like, hey, you should know about this and you should go. And ask why they didn't send you the email in the first place. I wasn't quite bold enough to do that last part, but I did go, and I was wearing my union shirt, and I was very excited to talk about how much I love unions. One of the incumbents who got endorsed did not go to that labor event, which the email that I got forwarded to me did say explicitly that if you wanted to get endorsed, you had to go to this event. And so when I didn't get endorsed, I followed up and asked if I could have more clarification on why I didn't get endorsed and why folks who weren't present at that event were still endorsed regardless. And I never got a response.
Okay. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So I belong to a union local that is. I am. Yeah. And I should, for my executive board, if any of them happen to listen to this, I will correct Clara on the record. They prefer that we not say the acronym as a word like
really?
that.
Why?
Yeah. Well, if we say it again, IATSE.
IATSE.
It rhymes with Nazi. I don't think this is necessarily a big deal, but there's some historical context here where
okay.
20th century anti-labor movements, try to smear our union
so
as
you have to spell it IATSE.
I mean, that is how you spell it.
Okay.
Yes.
I thought it rhymed with Yahtzee. To me, it sounds like a fun party game.
Nazi,
well, somebody's gotta who's making Yahtzee here. We gotta somebody send a letter.
I don't think it's the biggest deal,
no.
but we
noted.
At their request, I refrain from using it like that, and I will
IATSE.
Put that out there for people. Yeah.
Okay.
And the IA.
I'm gonna have to whisper it to myself every time to make sure I'm spelling it the right way.
If you have to say it in a public scenario, try not to say it that way.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for the heads up. I'd hate to isolate more of the labor. Labor crowd.
So yeah, my union local is a part of the Iowa City Federation of Labor, but
what?
I don't participate in those meetings and their endorsement process at all, and I think that that's the case for a lot of unionized workers in this community. So, and the past few years, we've seen them endorse a lot of incumbents who have then gone on to lose pretty bad in the subsequent elections.
Yeah.
I don't like saying this, but I don't think that their endorsement holds that much weight.
Yeah, I mean, that's honestly, I heard from some folks who are in other unions very similar things. And regardless of whether their endorsement did hold much weight or not, I really try to think of those moments as an opportunity to prove myself. And whether this is good or healthy or not, I am fueled by vengeance. And so I was kind of all right, sure. You don't want to give me the endorsement? Watch me. I'm going to be knocking doors. I'm going to knock on every single door. And inevitably, everybody who voted against me is going to have to meet me and see how nice I am and aggressively friendly I am. And they're going to regret it. Because I'm so kind. So it's like a kind vengeance, not a mean, cruel one.
No, for sure. Yeah. What about tenants?
I
guess there must be something about being pro-tenant on your website.
Yes, I have on my website that I am pro-labor and pro-tenant, and I support the rights to organize both tenants and workers. And I think in a location like Iowa City, especially when we have so many college students and so many renters in general. And on top of that, we have so few mechanisms for how to control landlords because of state regulations.
Yeah.
I think it's easy for city councilors to find little ways to support tenants, and that's great. It's awesome. And if I'm elected, I plan to find every regulatory loophole I can to make sure landlords have to make sure that landlords are really responsible for taking care of this city. If they're going to own so much property, I want to make sure that they're contributing.
Yeah.
But in addition to that, like, I don't understand why more folks aren't saying, like, we're going to do these regulations, and on top of that, we want to support tenants vocally. So, like, my ideal would be, like, if I'm on city council and there's a landlord who is, abusive to their tenants and isn't following their obligations to care for the space, and, like, the tenants in that building decided to go on a rent strike, I'd be all for it. And if I was on city council, and I honestly don't know if this is something that I could do, but I would try as hard as I could to say to, like, Iowa City Police Department, like, these people are on a rent strike. We're not going to enforce these evictions. We're not going to enforce X, Y, and Z because the tenants are exerting their power to fight back against these authority figures who aren't taking care of them in the way that they ought to. And I don't know why. I don't understand why it's so easy for people to say the state is corrupt, or the federal government is corrupt, or the state government isn't taking care of people, or they're overstepping. People say that all the time, but I don't see a lot of people willing to go further and say, well, then, okay, like, we have to take matters into our own hands, and we have to, play by our own rules too. I think respectability politics gets in the way of so much real progress that we could be making if we weren't afraid to, like, vocally and publicly disagree with other authority figures and other systems in place.
Yeah. And I think it's fear. There's a lot of fear. This comes up every time there's, like, an Iowa City, like, candidates forum, is like, if we go too far, that's drawing too much attention to ourselves from a hostile state and federal government. It came up when Oliver was running against Ross, and we all saw how that turned out. But that fear that, like, paralyzes people who want to do good, it's just forfeiting. It's just giving up. And,
exactly.
If people could get over that fear, like, more people, I would say, don't want the federal government to be sending troops into their cities than do. And so if more of us were willing to vocally and authoritatively stand against that, it becomes harder and harder for the federal government to bully everyone into submission.
Absolutely. Or I think even, like, since the abduction by ICE happened at Bread Garden, little over a week ago? Gosh, time isn't real at this point.
I believe that was, like, 2 weeks ago.
Oh my God. Crazy.
Maybe I'm wrong.
No, 2 farmers markets ago. That's how I keep track of time now.
Yeah.
Since that happened, I've distributed about 700 copies of an ICE Not Welcome poster across Iowa City, Coralville. And I have had people ask me, like, what do you think these are doing? Like, these aren't actually going to stop ICE from coming in.
They're not legally binding notices, yes.
Oh, that'd be funny. But I mean, and they're right. Like,
it's like
having
a
those...
vampire. Yes. They can't come in unless invited.
Wouldn't that be great? But I mean, to a certain extent, they're right. Like, having these posters up, like you said, is not legally binding. It's not actually going to prevent ICE from coming in and kidnapping people. But what I think it does do, in addition to the way that it draws our community together and the way that it, provides visible and hopefully emotional support for immigrant communities, I think if we think about ICE and we think about how at the end of the day, like, they are cowardly, right? They're covering their faces, or I guess, like, at Bread Garden, they weren't, which honestly seemed so odd to me. But regardless, right? Like, they hold their authority as a big ego boost. And so I think, imagine, like, if ICE agents walked into downtown Iowa City and every window had an ICE Not Welcome poster, just that, like, little hitch in their confidence, that little stutter step they might take because of it. If everybody in downtown knew how to do de-arrests, like that little moment of hesitation could be enough time to intervene and help somebody get away. Or that little hesitation could be enough time to, let an employee leave out the back door instead of making them leave out the front where ICE will see them. I think just like we can't underestimate how much these little tangible actions can do. And even if it's not something that you can do personally as a city councilor, like even though I wouldn't be able to say like I ban ICE from Iowa City, like I am able to be there as support. And I just wish people understood how far that can go and how much that can mean to people.
Yeah. If you look at what's going on in Chicago, like I watched a video, I think that what was recorded on the video happened just a couple days ago, but a couple of ICE agents were grabbing this like older looking man, and he was resisting them. He was like holding on to a car to like keep them from dragging him away and stuff, and yelling. And as more attention was drawn to the situation, more and more local people who were nearby stepped in and like got in the way and tried to help this man resist his kidnappers. And eventually the resistance got to a point where the ICE agents just hopped in a car and drove away.
Yeah.
They took off.
Yeah, I think I saw that same video.
Yeah. And so, the more you can like, or we, I should say, the more we can like build up a culture of actually standing up for ourselves and our neighbors and being willing to take risks of our own safety to some extent, the better, the harder it becomes for them to do this.
Absolutely.
This thing we don't want them to do.
No, being neighborly is not just about like waving hi to the people who live next door to you. It's about like getting to know each other and showing up when people need you.
Right. Yeah. Could I play a clip from the forum that happened
Sure.
on Monday? Since we got into this, there was a question about if the National Guard were deployed in Iowa City, what can we do about that? And what can we do about future activities from ICE? And I have a clip here that involves you, and it involves your mayor, Bruce Teague. So and this will sound better in the final product, but I'm just playing it off of my phone speaker right now so we can listen and talk about it.
Yeah, if the National Guard were to get deployed to Iowa City and I was elected.
That's Clara, by the way. This is on. This is a recording from October 6th.
My birthday.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
How was the rest of your birthday? I saw you only at the forum.
It was a weird day. Not a bad day, but I was also at the Historical Society in the morning as they forced prison labor to move shit. It was, anyway, play the clip.
Let's come back to that. But this is Clara on October 6th at the League of Women Voters Forum.
I would still grab my gas mask and I'd be in the streets like I have been and like I will continue to do. The only difference is that if I'm not elected, I would be out there blocked up, so I'd be harder to ID, as I have been. And honestly, I'm frustrated to hear that counselors don't want to talk more about the actionable items they would take. That's one of the reasons I decided to run for city council in the first place, because I watched my transgender friends and my queer friends, myself as a queer person included, beg city council to do anything for years to protect their rights. And it wasn't until those actual transgender community members took their own time and made and wrote a resolution on their own that city council voted on it. And so when I hear folks say we don't want to reveal our hands, what that means to me is we don't know what we're going to do. And I think that the social capital that a city councilor carries is important. And to be out there on the streets is one of the most important things we can do.
Thank you. Mr. Teague.
So I'm going to answer the question at hand, but what you just said was very offensive to me, but I'll go on to the question at hand.
And we can listen to his answer if we think that's relevant. Maybe I'll come back to that. But listeners, you heard everything Clara said. I didn't cut anything out of that. I just played about a minute of Clara's answer there. And the mayor said that what he just heard was very offensive to him.
Mm-hmm.
Did he follow up with you at all after this? Okay. What did you say that offended him?
I'm not 100% sure. If I had to guess, I I mean, I'm assuming it was either the comment at the end where I said, when I hear we don't want to reveal our hands, that to me means we don't know what we're going to do, or something to that effect.
Yeah.
I think he was probably...
Which you were getting from Sean Harmson's earlier answer.
Exactly, yeah. Sean basically had said, like, I would love... Well, at first Sean said, when I was a wrestler, and I thought Sean was going to be like, for a second...
I'm going to fight him.
Yeah, for a split second, I thought Sean was going to, like challenge these ICE agents to a duel, and on my respect for Sean would have skyrocketed.
Yeah, I'd certainly back him up.
That would have been badass.
I saw that, yeah.
I'm just, oh God, now I'm imagining, okay. The vivid picture painted in my brain. Anyway, so I'm guessing what the mayor was actually responding to that he said I offended him with was when I said that one of the reasons I ran for city council was because I watched my trans and queer friends beg to be protected and not be protected. And then they had to take it upon themselves to do that. I'm assuming that's what he was responding to.
Yeah. Which, as far as I know, is the God's honest truth.
Yeah.
I witnessed a lot of this. I saw, dozens of people show up at these meetings to ask the city council to take a harder stance on protecting trans residents in particular in the face of hostility from the state government.
Yeah, and I saw people take every approach possible. I saw people be very vulnerable and cry in front of city councilors. I saw people be very matter of fact and state the facts. I saw people get angry. I saw people I
saw somebody call them a bitch.
Great. Yeah, that's their right. Go for it, I think
sorry to interrupt. But
that's okay.
If you're sitting on council next year and somebody comes up to do a public comment and looks you in the eye and calls you a bitch, well, how would you feel about that?
What else is new? That happens so frequently anyway. I used to do stand-up comedy. I'm used to people heckling me and not liking what I have to say. That's nothing new. But I think, I watched my friends just pour their heart and souls out, and I watched my friends move. There are so many people who I loved seeing in Iowa City, and who I loved seeing at hardcore shows, and who I loved hanging out with, and who I loved calling a comrade, who had to move away because they didn't feel safe here. And so I think, I can imagine for Mayor Teague, it probably is really hard to hear somebody say something that is critical of them, especially because as a gay black man, he has had to face a lot of adversity and struggle. And, I'm sure he has faced an enormous amount of homophobia and racism, but I just wish that they were able to see the reality of the situation. And I think if they were just able to admit, we dropped the ball on that. We fucked up and we should have listened to you all sooner. I think that would go so much further in repairing that relationship, rebuilding that relationship, as opposed to just pretending that it never happened and that identity politics are enough to be a measurable show of support. Yeah.
Well, yeah, speaking of pretending that things never happened, another subject that came up at the forum was somebody submitted a comment on behalf of, I think, a family member of theirs who relies heavily on public transportation and the public library. So a big part of that conversation among the candidates was, can we get bus service on Sundays? Which seems like a very obvious next step in
for
progress
sure.
of, improving our public transit. 1 out of 7 days of the week, there's no bus at all.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, a lot of us do have jobs that require us to work on Sundays. So I would benefit from Sunday bus service.
Me too, for sure. And I think a lot of students would too. Students are kind of forced to live close to campus. Well, I think students, this would actually be so interesting to see if students had started to spread out more after fare free. But that's, who knows, perhaps that's some sort of demographic survey that we could talk about in a couple months once I'm on city council. But sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you this time.
No.
Be more hostile, good. Justin. Control this interview.
Hey, come on. I'm the one asking the questions here. You want to be in charge of the rest of us, Come on. You got to be able to handle this hostility from an interviewer.
You're just preparing me for public comments next year.
Yeah, you bitch.
You really couldn't even
of even saying it. Yeah. So yeah, a lot of the incumbents were, they want to explore the possibility of expanding bus services to Sundays as well. they see how that could be good for the community. And part of it was also expanding library hours, which of course would be great. But somebody brought up this article from a few years ago in the Daily Iowan, which actually gets into that very subject. Iowa City Transit experiences staff shortages, delays, and bus service expansion. This was written by Sam Knupp in February of 2022 for the Daily Iowan, and it starts like this. A bus driver shortage in Iowa City is forcing supervisors to cover shifts and is delaying the implementation of a Sunday bus service.
Oh.
So, hang on now.
Yeah.
So this is something they tried to implement already. And
yes.
there didn't seem to be any acknowledgement of that in the forum.
Yeah.
Here's another quote from the article. Jeff Fruin, Iowa City city manager, said at a January 8th city council meeting, again, this is back in 2022, that the Sunday ride program was supposed to start this winter or spring, but was delayed because of staffing shortages. Now, that makes sense to me. This is like, we're still dealing with the height of the pandemic at that point, early 2022.
Yeah.
So, it's going to be hard to get people to drive buses in those circumstances. So
Yeah.
I can see how that would delay progress there. But we are now almost 4 years past when this article was written.
That's bananas.
And it seems like they forget that this even was on the table.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't want to make any presumptions about folks who are sitting on council right now, but I don't know. I guess and maybe it's more appropriate to say folks who were sitting on council then, because I know, like, for example, Oliver wasn't on city council, but I wonder if part of it is just that, like, the folks who are in these positions don't typically rely on these services themselves.
Yeah.
Like, of course, it's going to be easy to forget that you got people's hopes up with the promise of a Sunday bus service, and then because because using the buses is not your primary form of transportation, it just kind of slips your mind and is easy to forget about.
Right. Yeah. And if they had difficulty implementing it, initially, it gets put on the back burner.
Right.
And, I mean, maybe they literally just did forget. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it
who
seems
knows?
like we must have something written down somewhere that, like, we're supposed to do this, right?
Yeah.
So, I think we should probably keep that up in the conversation. That
for sure.
We're supposed to have Sunday bus service.
Well,
I
no,
think.
and I mean, even just like going to city council meetings, even just folks who are asking, like, please give us bus shelters. Like, so many of these things that, like, the city, like, genuine, like, services and infrastructure that would improve the quality of life for so many folks in Iowa City just don't seem to be something that is actively being pursued in the way that I think it should be pushed for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That came up when I interviewed Ryan and Katie about Coralville a couple weeks back. I've got a nice bus shelter over here. I don't know if you can see that nice glass one.
Oh wow, that's a long one.
And that's uncommon, very uncommon.
Yeah, it's got it. So for the
bus stops around
listener,
here.
I love it when I listen to podcasts and they say for the listener.
Painting a picture.
Let me paint a picture. It's a I'm going to guess 15-foot long bus shelter with large glass windows and an arched roof that appears to be made of metal sheeting.
Yeah. So that's probably maybe like a more expensive kind of bus shelter. We could probably like make something out of plastic or something.
Yeah, or even like I think this is one thing that current counselors in particular, like Megan Alter, says this a lot, and I do agree with her on this and respect her for this, but she is always quick to point out that, like, nothing can happen overnight. There are incremental ways that things need to happen.
Yeah.
And I think with something like bus shelters, that's a way where we could say, like, let's identify the 5 busiest bus stops that don't already have bus shelters, or let's identify the 5 bus stops that don't have bus shelters and are closest to retirement communities or are in areas with a concentrated population of families who wait for the buses. Like, there are ways we can identify strategic places to implement bus shelters slowly and surely.
Yeah. Can I name like one particular area that I feel like it's totally absurd that there's no shelter?
Yeah.
So the spot like by the old Capitol Mall and the old Capitol and the Pentacrest and whatnot, like so many buses go through there. That's
the downtown
all
interchange.
the buses go through there, the downtown interchange. And I used to take the bus a lot, but it's become less and less convenient for my working life to do so. So we're in Coralville, right? So I
Right.
have to end up at that downtown interchange in Iowa City at some point. And I have to wait for the bus there. And it's like one of the sunniest spots.
Oh yeah,
in
there
Iowa
are barely
City.
any trees.
There's nothing.
No, it's
Like-
hard. I was waiting there last night after I left the city council meeting. I had about a 40-minute wait before I could take my bus. It was like just that bummer of a time when they switched to the like lower volume schedule
right,
because it's
right.
evening. So if I had just gotten there like 15 minutes earlier, I would have been fine. But regardless,
That's the worst feeling is like getting there right after they leave.
But
And there used
thankfully-
to be an app that like kind of worked.
the transit app or Bongo or whatever. it used to-
Bongo. That's the one I'm thinking
That's how
of.
you know I've lived in Iowa City for a long
Yep,
time.
Yeah, we know about Bongo. And that would show you like you're running to the bus stop and you see bus 1 minute and then it switches over to like 59 minutes.
Oh yeah, that's always the worst feeling. But I mean, yeah, like so I was waiting there last night for like maybe half an hour, 40 minutes. Thankfully I had work I could do on my computer to pass the time, but like it was the only reason it was pleasant is because like it was dusk.
Yeah.
It was maybe 65 degrees
And the
out and
weather's
I had
cooled
my
down
nice
this
cardigan.
week, yeah.
But even out there, like if it was really cold or really hot, you either have to wait inside Schaefer Hall, which has no windows to see when your bus is coming, and also is, I don't know, maybe 20 feet away. So it's not even like, it's just, it feels a little unmanageable.
Yeah.
Or you can wait in the old Capitol Mall, which also doesn't have convenient windows to see your bus and is a little farther away. Like I don't know. Maybe I just get anxious about missing the bus, but I don't want to have to be like leaving a building and timing it perfectly. I just want to sit. Let me sit. All I want to do, Justin, is sit.
Anyway, that seems like an obvious one where we could have some awnings built,
Yeah.
And I think this is maybe
It's right by the Siemens Center. Put the engineers to work.
Yeah, it could be a project.
Practicums.
It could be a project.
Don't go
Yeah.
work for Lockheed Martin or Collins. Come build bus shelters. That's
Yeah.
how we keep the young folks here.
Help someone instead of
Killing them.
yeah.
Yeah. Hi, Weasel.
Hey, buddy.
Oh, I love him. Oh, he thought that was me. It was you. Oh,
She.
oh my God, I've been
It's okay.
misgendering your
She's all
cat.
right. She's all right. She's used to it.
Oh, Weasel.
She doesn't put a lot of stock into gender.
Okay. So for the for the listener, she's just flopped into a sunbeam. She's a beautiful white cat. Wow, long flowing fur. She's scratching her chin. So elegant.
Oh yeah. Let's bring this up. This is from horselover_fat29.
Okay.
I assume you'll be talking about the university flock cameras that Iowa City residents had no say in, yet are being tracked on. And I'll slight correction to the commentary here. Iowa City residents did have a say in that over 10 years ago when they pressured the local government to pass an ordinance prohibiting
Yes,
the use of this
exactly.
technology. But the university has put up a number of license plate cameras, and it seems like I'm seeing more pop up every week
Yeah.
on Iowa City, like city public property. So, how do you feel about ALPRs? We just had a fight about
my
this here in
God.
Coralville as well that we lost.
Oh, I'm so sorry. That makes me so sad for you all.
Yeah.
I hate ALPRs, like automatic license plate reading cameras. They're horrible. I think, I don't even know where to start with how much I hate ALPRs. I think I've never liked them, even before the more like artificial intelligence integrations were beginning to happen.
Yeah.
But I think fundamentally, like you have a right to privacy, and regardless of whether or not, I always hear people say things like it could save one child or it could save one person or whatever. But
Yeah, they always point to like kidnappings and stolen vehicles.
But like if people think the police are as effective as they would like to tell me the police are, then why do we need them in the first place? Well, you could, okay.
The cameras, you mean?
In this case, I do mean the cameras.
Yeah.
And so I think as far as the Iowa City flock cameras go, or rather the University of Iowa Police Department flock cameras go, it's my understanding that even though that ordinance was passed in 2013 to prohibit flock cameras use by the city and the university have a right-of-way agreement. So those flock cameras are technically in Iowa City's right-of-way that like strip between the sidewalk and the curb. And I'm curious to see whether when I'm elected, I'm trying to manifest here. When I'm elected, if that right-of-way agreement can be canceled out or somehow voided, or even just adding additional terms, because based on what I've heard from a few folks so far, particularly people who work in like the utilities industry, there's some concern that flock is technically considered a utility, and those right-of-way agreements, I guess, tend to be a bit more sweeping. So it would generally be like, does the University of Iowa have permission to handle their utilities in Iowa City's right-of-way? So a lot of it just depends on how, if that right-of-way agreement was specific for flock cameras as like a line item, or if flock cameras are considered utilities. Like, there are a lot of intricacies there to figure out, but I want them gone.
Yeah.
Why are they're just, the AI integrations that we're seeing with them now, I don't know how anyone can look at the CEO of Flock, this private company, who you're essentially renting the cameras from. I don't know how anyone can look at him and what he's said about his ideal world that's free of crime and doesn't need police officers because everyone is tracked all the time and surveilled.
Oh, well, I guess it sounds like we have the same goal then.
Defund the police?
Of a world free of crime and cops.
Yeah.
I guess these cameras are the solution.
Yes, we will continue to pour millions of dollars into this private business, which I'm sure will have no negative consequences for anybody, rather than just, taking those millions of dollars and using them to feed people or build permanent supportive housing. It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
But I think like that flock ordinance in 2013 is actually a great example of why electing somebody who's younger and has more technology experience like myself is a really important thing, because I think we're kind of at this tipping point where if we don't regulate the use of AI in the private and public sector, that is going to start having serious consequences on our community.
Yeah.
Like landlords could use discriminatory pricing to charge tenants different rates based on how much money they make, based on other factors. You are already seeing in New York City, for example, the Administration for Children's Services has been using AI algorithms for years to flag high-risk families, which is, all based on historic data, which really just means that it's disproportionately flagging Black families, single-parent families, families that already have other marginalizing factors built into the structure of their life.
Yeah.
And so I think that if we don't get on top of regulating this now, we're going to be a few years down the line and we'll have realized that a utility provider is charging people discriminatorily and we won't have a way to regulate it because it's too late.
Yeah.
Or we'll build a giant AI data center because it's going to bring jobs to town for construction. And then we'll realize that, wait, once it's built, you don't actually need people to staff it. Or, oh, wow, we have a limited amount of water in our aquifer underground and we've used it all. I mean, that's hyperbolic. That would take a while, but it is a real concern, right?
Well, yeah. One of the data centers they were building in Cedar Rapids, they happened to find out they had dug a whole bunch of illegal wells while building it.
Yeah, it's like, and especially,
and they just got a little fine. That took care of it. Somewhere
like Iowa City, Coralville, North Liberty, I know like Coralville and Iowa City's water treatment plants are separate. But the way in Iowa City that we manage our nitrate levels is that we don't have a nitrate mitigation system, which is essentially deionizes the nitrates, which means it's an expensive process.
Yeah.
We don't do that. We take our groundwater, which is full of nitrates, and we dilute it with water from this underground aquifer that's thousands and thousands of years old. The same aquifer, or one
water.
of the same aquifers.
Old, stale, nasty water.
One of the same aquifers that Coralville has access to, too. So if you're building this and you need to, we're using more pesticides, so we have to dilute more. And then on top of that, we've got this data center that needs water. And so, you're going to see that limited aquifer deplete. Ooh, it's scary.
Yeah.
It's right. I want to live here. I want to stay here.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to do that if someday I have a kid and they've got a 1 in 3 chance of developing cancer.
Right.
Why would I do that?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well,
you're getting me fired up, Justin.
Yeah. Just when we should probably start wrapping up, because we've gone over an hour. Thank you.
I get
for,
it. I'm easy to talk to.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Thank you for sitting down for an hour-long interview as part of your campaign process.
Hey, no, this is great.
Do you have any events coming up, or just people listening? How can they find you? What do you want them to do?
I mean, this will come out on Sunday.
Sunday,
right? Okay. Well,
October 12th.
Okay. Starting, let's see, Sunday, October 12th. I don't know what the date would be, but starting Wednesday, every Wednesday between the week that this comes out and the election, from 8 to 9 p.m., you can come to Kitty Corner Lounge in downtown Iowa City for free from 8 to 9 p.m. to meet me, talk about my campaign, play with some beautiful kitties, or adult cats. We can play with adult cats too. They're also beautiful. And there will be voter registration information there and some ways that you can make a plan to vote. There will be coloring pages. It'll basically be a nice little social gathering.
That would be starting on October 15th would be the first Wednesday that's happening.
Thank you for counting.
Unless it's happening
It's not
tonight.
No, it's not. It was
Just
going
a peek
to, but
behind the
then
curtain.
last night when I found a stray kitten on my porch, all of my prep went out the window because I had to figure out how to take care of a tiny little emaciated kitten.
So Wednesdays at Kitty Corner.
Yes, Wednesdays
8
at
to
Kitty
9
Corner,
p.m.
8 to 9 p.m. And then I also, in theory, on October 19th, I'm going to be having a rally on the Ped Mall.
So that's
I don't know
Sunday after.
Yes, I don't know exactly what time yet, but if anyone wants to see any upcoming events, my Instagram is just at Clara for Iowa City, and my website is also claraforiowacity.com.
FOR, right?
Yes, FOR.
I always specify.
None of that numbers. No. Maybe in like a slug at the end of a URL, but like not in the main URL. I'm not going to do that. What? That just feels
What
too
about
like
slugs?
your slug line at the end of your URL.
I don't know what that means.
It might not even be what it's called. And now I'm worried it's not, but that's what I've always called it.
Well,
that little
you have a
tagline.
library sciences degree, so you know about slug lines.
No, now that's not going to be what it's called at all.
What are you referring to?
I'm referring to like at the end of your URL. .com.
Yes.
/
No, that's a / but keep going.
Okay. Fuck. / Wait, how did they even decide that? Anyway,
I'm not sure how they decided which was which.
Whatever.
But yeah, the normal
Regardless,
/ is a
it's like
/
whatever comes after the .com / it's like for example, if you wanted to volunteer, you could go to claraforiowacity.com / get-involved. And that like get-involved is what I've been calling the slug. I don't know. Maybe that's...
I don't know.
Well, if that's not what it was called before,
Yeah.
it's what it's called now.
Yeah.
And my first proclamation as Iowa City city councilor is where every day is National Slug Day.
Okay. We will be the first city in the world to adopt that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what really puts us ahead of the competition. That's why that's what's really going to draw young people here.
That's what makes us the city of literature.
Yeah. One of my students made a snail book. It's about a snail and a slug. And she embroidered it. It's beautiful. But that's a whole different thing.
Yeah. Anything else to plug? Any events or websites or anything?
No, I just would encourage people, if you have questions, my email's on my website. You can always reach out. Please email me with any questions. I've loved the few emails I have gotten from folks. And otherwise, be kind, fuck ICE, free Palestine, and I'd love to get to call you a comrade.
Do you mind if I plug a few things?
No,
Okay.
Justin, plug your things.
I don't know if you're in a rush to get out of here, but
no.
Let me just read a couple things here. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Again, the local election is November 4th. If you're in Iowa City, you just heard Clara talk for an hour. Maybe you'll vote for her.
If you stuck around this long, I sure hope so.
November 4th, Iowa City voters. But that's not the only place that's having a local election. My city of Coralville is also November 4th. I've interviewed Ryan Swenka, who's running for mayor. I've interviewed Katie Freeman, who's running for city council. I like them both. I'll be voting for them both. Ryan4Coralville.com. FOR.
Oh, okay. I was going to be like, did I accidentally offend Ryan?
Katie's main campaigning outlet is on Instagram, where they use the handle Freeman4Coralville with the number 4.
I won't blame them for that. It's different when it's an Instagram
It's after
handle.
a slash too.
It's different when it's an Instagram handle. Like a URL, Instagram handle, fundamentally different.
Okay.
Different forms of communication, different types of information needs you're meeting. It's
I understand.
keep plugging.
If you're in Des Moines, Andy Montalvo Martinez is running for city council. I've heard good things. Don't know them personally, but Andy Montalvo Martinez, Evan says that Andy is a good candidate. So I trust what Evan says.
Yeah.
NDforthepeople.com is the website, and that's FOR as well. I've got a few musical things coming up that I would love to see people at. The day that this episode comes out, October 12th, is the final day of the Refocus Film Festival at Film Scene, and I will be playing a couple of solo ambient sets before the showings of the movies Play It As It Lays and Hedda in Theater 1 in Film Scene at the Chauncey. Friend of the show, Sam Hammond, had a recent hospital stay, and that has unfortunately racked up a bill.
A big bill.
That's what happens in the United States of America.
What, a bill to the tune of like $11,000?
I believe something like that.
Or at least that's the fundraising goal.
Yeah. That's how things go here in America. If you have to seek medical attention, well, your life is ruined. How dare you need medical attention?
Good luck digging yourself out of that hole.
So we're having a benefit show at Public Space 1, Close House, 538 South Gilbert, on October 13th. The show's going to start early at 5:30 p.m. I'll be playing. I see on the poster that Chunks is playing. I think that's a new band. I don't know who's in that. Also sets from Angle Grinder, HVOG, which is Sarah Ann. I'm not sure
Love
what HVOG stands for. I'll find out. Boot Camp, we know them.
Classic.
And, Pink Fuzz, which I believe is a band from Denver.
Hell yeah,
So
right on.
That'll be a good show, October 13th, 5:30 p.m. at Close House. Bring some money for Sam because the hospital is just bleeding them dry.
Yeah, and Sam's fantastic. I mean, everyone deserves money. Well, everyone deserves to have their needs met.
Yes.
I wish that didn't involve money. But if you were trying to figure out if this is a worthwhile cause, Sam is fantastic and deserves all the love and kindness in the world.
Yeah, truly one of the kindest people I've ever known. I've worked with Sam for years and years in theater stuff, and we've played shows together. I've played shows at their house. Sam's great, and we need to help out. And then later this week, this is a big week for me. October 17th, the show at Trumpet Blossom. I'm playing another Weapon X show with Will Yeager. We're opening up for Sean Hamilton and Brett Copeland. Trumpet Blossom, October 17th. That's like an experimental show with acoustic instruments. There's going to be some percussion, a tuba, a double bass, a saxophone, lots of cool stuff going on. October 17th, Trumpet Blossom. All right. You have a way to contact Clara, but do you have a way to contact me and the podcast? Put this in your phone right now. Phone number 319-849-8733. I'll repeat that once.
Yeah.
319-849-8733. You can call that number and leave a voicemail with any comments or questions about anything you've heard on the podcast.
Yeah.
You may hear your voicemail later on an episode of Rock Hard Call Us.
Oh, that's
which you can
good.
find.
That's clever.
Patreon.com/rockhardcaucus. Credit to Lily for coming up with the name of that series. New episode of Speed Freak Read Speak just came out on the Patreon, and Eden and I will finally be finishing reading and commenting on Hardwired by Joseph Dobrian, the novel, for an episode of Dobrain Book Club, which should be out later this week.
Yay!
All right, let's close the show with some music. My friend Dan Padley just released an album called Crumbs Part 2. I spelled crumbs wrong in my notes. That's CRUMBS.
How did you spell it?
I took the B out. I'm not sure where that happened.
It's been a long couple weeks.
Yeah, it sure has. danpadley.bandcamp.com is where you can find that. You can check it out yourself. Odie's Ode is the music you're hearing now to close out the show. Thanks for listening. Thank you, Clara, for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you, listeners, for listening to Clara and voting for Clara on November 4th.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.